right, everybody, and welcome to Hard Rock History Show, episode 38. I am your host, Paulie Christine, with my co-host, Tommy Coyne. And this man, listen, I can't name everything he's been in. It's
Yeah,
too
you
much.
can.
But you know what's great about it? His voice was fucking consistent, and we curse on here, Robin, so you can curse. Consistent in every single band he's been in. McAuley Schenker, Survivor, Grand Prix, Black Swan, what he's doing now in the new album is beyond phenomenal. So fucking heavy. It's amazing. Robin McAuley, thank you. And it's such an honor, sir. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Tom. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me on here. Thank you.
Fantastic. It's an honor that you even reached out and said, yeah, okay, well, you two schmoes I'll talk to. How you like my background? You like my background, Robin?
I like your... who is that guy?
All right, Tommy, you want to start? I usually, Robert, I start like how you started and everything, but Tommy has a bunch of things he wants to start with. So go ahead, Tommy. Just jump right in.
I'm ready,
Robert,
Tommy.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Grand Prix because that was kind of like the band that everybody got, at least in my circle of music, got familiarized with you. You came in on the second album.
Yes, I did.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with that band?
Oh, yeah. So I used to sing at a local pub scene in London and just top 40 stuff, blah, 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 kind of doing my apprenticeship. And a bass player and guitar player walked in. We started chatting and they went, hey, you want to sort of sing some real songs and be in a real band? And those two guys was Ralph Hood, who was the bass player from Grand Prix, and Mick O'Donoghue, the guitar player from Grand Prix. And so I thought, yeah, what the hell? They had a bunch of songs written. We got together. We rehearsed a little bit. We recorded a demo. Everybody loved that demo. And I'm not exactly sure what happened, but it never... Oh, yes. Well, of course I do. So the punk explosion hit London. So we're all about the Sex Pistols, the Stranglers, all about that sort of stuff. No place for this sort of free, bedco, sort of heavy blues type of outfit that was going on. Nobody was interested. So it kind of got kicked to the back burner. Fast forward, those two guys, things changed in the industry. They became now a band called Paris. And that band... very same lineup as Grand Prix with Bernie Shaw singing. They got signed to RCA Records. They recorded the first record, There from Under Sea. What was the first record called? Whatever. With Bernie on it. Bernie takes a break. Bernie's Canadian. Bernie went back to Canada. I get a call from Mick. I get a call from Phil Lanzon, keyboard player now with, of course, Uriah Heep. And they went, hey, what are you doing? We're in the studio. We're recording a new record. We could do with some help and some guide vocals. You want to come down and hang? And I went, you don't need me for a guide vocalist. You guys can sing, right? But I'll come for the hang anyway. Drove into the city, started hanging with the guys. Mick said, hey, I got this idea. Can't put anything to it. You want to have a listen, see what you can do? I listened to it. I think that song was called Take a Chance. Right, anyway. They said, hey, look, do some guides on these other couple of tracks. I did. Then the management walks in and then the whole thing goes, hey, listen, really, the reason you're here, we'd love you to join the band. And I went, well, where's Bernie? Bernie's an awesome singer. Where's Bernie? Yeah, we've decided it was time for a change. And so it happened. So I came in, we recorded that record that became There for None to See. The band moved from RCA to Chrysalis. Schenker territory. Schenker was on Chrysalis.
UFO.
And UFO.
That was a heavy record label.
All the homies were on there. And we recorded the second record and yada, yada, yada. We went on from there into Samurai, the third record. We did okay. We got the first...
Great cover. Great cover.
I don't even have that.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Then everything changed again. We had really good management. They managed Judas Priest. They managed the Eurythmics. but we never got any of those tours. We toured the Standing Hampton tour with Sammy Hagar, and we did the first Maiden tour that Bruce Dickinson was on when he joined
Number of
Iron
the
Maiden.
Beast.
Number of the Beast. So we did the Number of the Beast tour in the UK, and down in the West End of London, Cats had just taken place in one of the theaters. It was a big deal, and the people who were the costume designers for all of the Cats cast designed that samurai suit, and they made me a samurai. They made me a samurai suit, and at the very end of the show, we would perform Samurai. I would have to race off, put the samurai suit on. It was like all of this LED piping, blue lights, all of that shit. And when we toured with Maiden, on the very last gig at the Hammersmith Odeon in London, I had this battle because Eddie at that point used to wear the straitjacket. So they brought out the Samurai Warrior and Eddie together, and I would slice the jacket, and he would come out after me, and blah blah blah. And that was the Grand Prix era. It was really good. Great songs, great songwriting, great guys. I still work with those guys, believe it or not. We have a bunch of tunes that people want us to sort of get on with it and record. And not to digress, about 18 months ago, I headlined a festival in Manchester, England, called Firefest, which today, actually, I will finish the last 2 tracks. We're just cleaning stuff up. They may put it out as a live record. But I did bring Phil and Mick up because the first time in 40 years, the promoter said, there's a prerequisite to you doing this show. I want to hear some Grand Prix songs.
Oh, was it a solo show, Robin, for you?
It was a solo show, yeah.
Okay.
And I said, oh, man, I haven't performed those songs outside of the realm of Grand Prix in 40
Would you
years.
even remember the lyrics?
Well, dude, it was like, we had to do some homework. Trust me.
Did you have the iPad in front of you?
No, I did not. No, and I called Mick and I called Phil and I went, dude, this is a kind of a long shot. The promoter wants me to do Shout, Keep On Believing, and Samurai. And I went, I haven't done that in like eons. Have you guys done it? And they went, no, but we're coming. So they came and joined me on stage, and there wasn't enough time to get them physically into rehearsals playing because of the logistics. But they did come up on stage and they sang all the background vocals with me. And it was, dare I say it, it was emotional, to say the least, because I love those guys. And I had met Phil tons of times out doing Schenker shows, and Uriah Heep would be on the same festival, and we'd sort of be on the same plane and yakking away and all of that sort of stuff. And I always went, hey, we should do something. And suddenly here we are doing something. And then we started writing, and we probably have about 6 songs just sort of sitting there. And it's very classical Grand Prix with a sort of a modern touch to it. Good tunes. So
we'll shop it.
It's kind of just sitting there, Paul, when like nobody's going, yeah, maybe we will.
Frontiers won't take. I mean, you do a lot of stuff with Frontiers.
Frontiers came to the table, and because I'm on Frontiers, I kind of sat back and I went, I'm not going to interfere. You guys take a look at this. And they both went, nah.
They shot it down.
They shot it down. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they shot it down big time. Yeah.
Why can't you? You can do it yourself now too. If you want to self-promote, you know.
I wouldn't want to do it without the guys. To be honest, it's either all for one. You know.
Right.
Yeah. So there's my story. I hope that answers the question, Tommy.
Yeah, it does. I just wanted to make a comment on something that the Grand Prix in the States really never caught on. But oddly enough, the Samurai album was never on CD. It came out on CD around the time you were with Schenker. Right. And then everybody had a hat. I remember when I got it myself, people didn't even realize you were in this band. And then like with your exposure in the States with Schenker, everybody was buying this Japanese import Samurai CD because you were on it. It was like it had like a second life.
Yeah,
years after the release.
You know that was part and parcel of the whole shenanigans towards the end of the deal, if you will. No promotion. Just, I mean, no promotion whatsoever. Put it out, do nothing. Put it out, do nothing. The only upside was the Sammy Hagar tour. There was the Maiden tour, which was great exposure for the band. We got great exposure at UK radio and across Germany, but they never got up off their asses and went, let's get this into the States. And funny that you mentioned all of the above. When I would tour the States with Schenker, a certain amount of clubs and or venues would play Shout before I'd come on stage, and I'm going, shit, they actually have that here.
Yeah.
You know. And so that was the only time I ever heard it. I never heard it on US radio or anything
Right.
like that. So yeah, there was no support from the label on any of it. It was just.
You were also in another band called GMT with Chris Glenn.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? I think that was around the same
Filthy's
time.
Taylor. I mean, that was one of the first supergroups in a sense.
That was immediately after Grand Prix pulled the plug, pun intended. Okay. And I had a small digression again here. When I was with Grand Prix, Schenker, Chris Glenn, the late and great Cozy Powell, and Andy Nye, who played keys with Schenker, they all came out to a show in London, literally the day before we set out to do the Standing Hampton tour with Sammy Hagar. And so next morning, I get a phone call from Cozy's people, and they went, hey, saw the show last night, loved it. Michael's rehearsing. He really wants you to come down to the studio today. We're going to be there for the next couple of weeks. This could be great. And I went, oh, dudes, I'm like about to jump on a bus and head out on the Standing Hampton tour with Sammy Hagar.
Or you had something going on.
I had something going on. I wasn't going to jump ship on a band, you know.
Right.
It's just not me. Anyway, there was no more said except Kerrang! Magazine was a big rock magazine.
Of course. That was our Bible.
Yeah, right. And they gave me all of this coverage as a result of said conversation that I never had with them, but they got it through the grapevine. And they went, who does this Irish singer think he is? You know, this upstart, quote unquote, to refuse Michael Schenker. And I'm going, that's not really how it happened. Right? And there was no more said about it. I never made a comment on it. Everybody was going, whatever.
And Robert, 1 second. This would have been around the assault attack
this
time, right?
Exactly at the assault attack.
Yeah, because Cozy was still with them, and Cozy bailed after they started doing it.
Yes, you're right, Paul. You're right. And of course, you know, we know the history. Graham did like 3 shows. By the 3rd show, he was out of there.
It was like one main show, and
one main show, yeah. And the funny thing was that when we were in Scotland recording the Samurai record, and Chris Glenn and again the late Ted McKenna, drummer from MSG, walks into Inverness Studios. This is where we were in Scotland. And they came in on the onus of checking out the studio for potential MSG recordings.
But eyeing somebody.
All right. And they came in, never said hello to the guys in the band. Chris had just found these new ear pods that he wanted, and he just walked straight over. You fucking try this on here now, man. Right? All right, good old Glaswegian. And he comes in, and the guys are going, what the fuck? Right? Literally. And they stayed one night, left, and they did all their talking to me. And there was never really sort of, see, Robin, do you want to change your mind about this Michael Schenker thing, man? Right? And there was none of that. It was just the presence. It was just the presence of it. We recorded Samurai, came out, we did what we could with it. And 4 years on, straight out of there, I get a call from Chris Glenn, and he's now no longer with Schenker, some months later or whatever it was. And he goes, I got this thing going with Filthy. Filthy Taylor, who now had just left Motorhead with Brian Robertson. So there's Brian and Phil and Chris and supposedly myself. And
so Robbo was part of this, Robin?
Robbo was part.
Wow.
Robbo and Filthy had left Motorhead.
Right after Another Perfect Day tour. Yeah.
Yes, exactly right. And so I came into the studio. They were rehearsing. We had a downtime at like 12 noon every day. They had a lockout. And since you can swear on this show, those fuckers were never there at 12 noon. I'm a sucker for time. I love time. If it's 12, it's 12. If it's 1, it's 1. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'd be there.
You're not a musician. You're not a true musician, Robin.
I'd be there the whole afternoon, right? And then they'd stroll in about 3 or 4, no interest in playing. They'd eat something. Drinks aplenty. And I remember Robbo would be drinking pints of Mary Down cider, which is a really strong cider from the south of England, and he would top it off with port.
Wow. Oh, jeez, what a combination. Jesus Christ.
Dude,
Jesus.
Rocket fuel, man. Oh. I mean, rocket fuel.
How many times did he go take a piss?
Oh, dude. So I'm not exaggerating. Come like 9 o'clock at night, given that I've been there since probably 11:30 in the morning, right? And then Robbo would come to me and he goes, "See, Robbie, man, are you ready to sing the blues?" And that became a catchphrase. And I went, "I'll tell you what I'm ready for. I'm ready to go home, dude. I'm out of here."
Yeah.
And I'd bail, and we would try and do the same thing again tomorrow. And anyway, we eventually got enough tunes to create a reasonable demo. Then John Kolodner from Geffen wanted to hear it. He liked what he heard on cassette tape. And he flew to London for a showcase with the band, who did not have a name at the time. And so those lovable guys decided, well, Kolodner won't be here for the next 2 or 3 hours. Why don't we go to the pub? Great idea. And I would be hanging, and this makes me sound like a saint. I'm not, but I didn't go to the pub. I was in the studio, and I was with the techs and all of that sort of stuff, waiting for the guys to come back. They came back shit-faced.
I bet.
They came back shit-faced.
Shocker that they did that.
It was shocker. And Kolodner's already in the room. He's already there, right?
Looking the long hair, the beard.
And he had the coat over the shoulders. He had earbuds in, and Robbo comes in, and he had a 6-pack of beer, one of which he decides he should crack open over his Marshall top. And of course, it's all over the shit, right? It's running down into the cab. It's all over the ass. It's all over the. No, I'm not making this up. All over the ass. He straps his guitar on. He starts playing. He looks at me and he said, "Somebody sabotaged my amplifier, man." and then Kolodner walked out of the room and he goes, "Who the fuck is this upstart?" Bump. Gone.
Yeah.
Never listened to shit. And that was the end of that little story. And then we moved into Frankfurt in Germany through a sort of a manager type contact who turned out to be a real shyster. And then we picked up a young German guitar player, started recording some demos, decided we'd call the band GMT, Glenn McAuley Taylor, after Greenwich Mean Time, blah, 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 all of that sort of stuff. And end of story, a producer by the name of Frank Farian heard some of the songs, asked if I would come to the studio, came to the studio, and against my better judgment at the time, I re-recorded Stairway to Heaven and met Bobby Kimball from Toto for the first time. And that sold over 2 million singles only just in the UK in 1985.
That
Some
came out
people
on the
loved
Far Corporation album.
Far
Yeah.
Corporation. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. Nobody cared one way or the other. The radio absolutely loved it. They tipped it to go #1. All of that sort of stuff. You could not get it off the radio. And I think, really, in all fairness, there was an entirely new audience for Led Zeppelin.
Mhm.
People who had never heard of Led Zeppelin now are getting this bombastic sort of type approach to a Zeppelin song, which had never been a single. And the first time we performed it in Berlin on this very famous Saturday night show, like a Saturday Night Live show called Thomas Gottschalk Show, 50-something million viewers every Saturday night. We walk out there with Kate Bush, Slade, Robert Plant is in the studio with his solo project, and we have this big black backdrop with Stairway to Heaven in silver, guitar player when we were there getting camera angles throughout the day. He said, by the way, Robert Plant is like staring down the back of your neck. And I went, fuck off. No, he's not. Right? We didn't see the roster for the day. I had no idea. I look round, Plant is like pointing his finger straight at me. And he goes, looking at me, looking at this. And I'm going, I want my mommy. And so, he sat with Frank Farian, the producer, and we have a shitload of photos together with Robert Plant, and he loved it and thought it was a great idea. And Zeppelin never released it as a single. And the rest, as they say, is all part of this wonderful industry that we're in.
Was that done live, the song?
We never played it live.
Oh, so you lip synced.
But it was just the rules of TV. No time to do anything. No time to fix stuff. No way to fix bloopers or bleepers in those days. It would be too late. It'd be the moment would have gone. But interestingly enough, many years later, I became part of a Las Vegas residency called Radio the Rock Vault, and I sang Stairway to Heaven live every night for maybe 1,500 shows. Enough to be sick of it, right?
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
can we just go back to JMT quick? You did you only did 5 tracks?
Yes.
And it's an expensive CD now. If you want it, it's like $90.
No way.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's been out.
I'm looking at it right. I'm looking at it right now. Like the cheapest is like $78 and like $25 shipping if I want it, or like $90 is in the same thing. So did you guys only cut 5 tracks?
That's all we did. That's all we did. And when I tell you that so-called manager guy was a bit of a shyster, I mean, yes, for other stuff that I will not mention. After the GMT thing, that guy went to jail and all sorts of shit.
Oh, wow.
That was never supposed to be released. And then he sold it to Mausoleum Records.
Yes.
And then that was the first we heard of it was, guess what? Look what I just found. And then we were presented with a printed copy, and I'm going, how did this happen?
Well, even back in the day,
they released it in '91.
Like a lot of collectors or people that were into this music thought that it might have been even a bootleg.
Yeah,
because it had no booklet,
nothing.
No information about the band really at all, other than the cover, and it kind of came off as a CD that wasn't even like legitimate.
Hence what I'm saying. It came off the desk and into the hands of Mausoleum without any collaboration with us, any sort of how would you like to do this? No conversation.
Yeah.
Done. And as you say, no booklet, no information, no photo shoot, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. That's why a lot of people thought it was a bootleg.
Now here's the real question, Tommy. Do you have it?
I have it right here.
Of course you do.
Yeah. I have it right here.
That's
why I have him on, Robin.
Tommy's the man. Yeah. So yeah, an interesting period to say the least. Yeah.
But this is like 85-ish, right?
That would have been 85. Yes. Yeah. That's exactly right. And I was working out of Frankfurt with Far Corporation, I was there, so that's how we managed to actually get that done, because one kind of segued into the other. The guys came in, made those demos, demos, by the way.
Right.
And then the whole Far Corporation thing started, and it was on a completely different level. I mean, a very, very different level. I mean, Lukather and Page from Toto are on Stairway, you know. So a lot of people got involved. Simon Phillips was involved on other tracks as we went forward, and then of course the irony of Simon ending up being with Toto, you know, when
for a long time.
Yeah, you know, when Jeff Porcaro passed.
Any interesting Bobby Kimball stories?
Oh God.
Bobby Kimball is a force to be reckoned with.
Bobby lives pretty close to me, and God bless him. He's in a bad way with frontal lobe dementia right now. Not good. Bobby came in, did some stints with Rockfall together with us. I've always kind of been in touch with Bobby. I was at his birthday, his last birthday, and David Page was there, and he not only didn't recognize David, he didn't know who I was either.
What a sad.
After so many years, and you know, the stories, you know, you can always talk stories, but you know, with Bobby as one of the greatest vocalists on the planet. I mean, if you were in a room with this man and he sat at the piano, the volume that he projected, and his whole aura of singing, untouchable.
I agree.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. He used to scare the shit out of me, to be honest, because I'm going, how can you do that? How do you do that? Yeah. And I had a ton of fun with Bobby over the years. Yeah.
How do you maintain yourself, Robin? Because like I say, you're very consistent.
Oh,
you know, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I've ever, in the hands of God, heard a bad performance from you. You know, I'm sure you might have had off nights, but I never saw them myself. But studio-wise, Robin, you're very consistent. I mean, clear, strong vocals, melodic. You're really incredible in the studio and live also.
Technology is a great thing. You know, well, thank you. It's my instrument. It's what I do. It's what I love to do. I still love doing it. I thought I'd be done a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah, a long time ago. And the phone would keep ringing. I'm going, okay, this is the last one. This is the last one. This is the last one. And I continued to work with Michael. We will headline what will be Japan's version of the Wacken Festival.
Yes.
So they will do Full Metal Jacket, Full Metal in I think October 26th, and then November. Most of November we will actually tour Europe, like Spain, France, Germany.
Right. So you're going to Don't Sell Your Soul tour. You're the guy now.
I'm supposedly the MSG guy, and the reason, you know, we did Monsters of Rock last year, and I was initially supposed to do the UFO 50th tribute, and then Michael said, I think we should just keep you for MSG. Because Gary's not doing it anymore, Graham's not doing it anymore. So we'll keep you kind of exclusively for the MSG stuff, and we'll figure out what we do with the UFO stuff. I am a huge UFO fan, so I was a little bit disappointed. That said, Eric Gronwall is just off the charts. The dude is like from another world. He's just an amazing vocalist, and just released a great solo record.
Yes, he did.
The guy is just amazing. And all of the stuff you read with Skid Row, it's all bullshit. You know, it's all whatever.
I figured it.
Yeah, you know, he's shoot me. He's better than Skid Row. He's better than Michael Schenker. He needs to be who he is.
Yeah,
and at this moment right now, we're taking it's August 2026. Skid Row still don't have a singer. So there you go.
Yeah, and Will they find one? I'm not even sure if they know what they're looking for, to be honest. It's like you can't have what was done. It's done. Stop
And they're
dwelling on it.
stubborn enough not to go back to even try to see if it can work out. You know what I'm saying? So
And there would be the answer to their problems because the tickets would be there, and
the audience would be there, the money would be there.
and keep the bullshit off the press. Keep it away from the media. Deal with it in your way. Just go out, do what it is that you were born and raised to do. Shut up and get on with it, and job done. And job would be done well. It'd be great. I've seen Sebastian live a bunch of times, and Sebastian is Sebastian. That's who he. That's who he is. That's who he is. Huh? That's who he is. It's who he is. It's who he is. So get on with it. Do it. I think the audience will just love it. And as I said, they will buy the tickets. They'll make the money because I don't know what they're looking for, but they're not going to find it if they don't go to Sebastian. It's just my opinion. Right. Because people will always have their view on what decision that they've made, and it won't be the right decision because the audience won't allow them to make the right decision unless it's Sebastian. Simple.
Right.
Simple. It's the same as I could say for Yes. If they would just bury that hatchet, bring John Anderson back in, the new lineup is phenomenal. I know all those guys well, but give them what the audience, at the end of the day, you're depending on your ticket sales and the people out the front of the house going, this is what we want to hear.
Right.
And then you're up there going, no.
The key to it all, Robert, is that they get a singer sounding like the man that you can have in the band. So where's the answer there? Come on. So we do like you do. You do this. Come on. Common sense.
Yeah, it's beyond me. It's beyond me, all of that.
All right, let's get that phone call from Michael Schenker. How did this happen now?
God.
McAuley Schenker group.
Well, there's another story.
Let's hear it. We're here. Let's hear it.
Well, the short and long of it is, it was like a 4-year period, literally. From that first sort of, hey, come down to the studio, to no, I can't, I got this other stuff to do, to finishing out the Grand Prix period, the GMT stuff, the Far Corporation stuff. I'm still with Far Corporation when I get the next call. In fact, Stairway was a huge hit, a huge hit both in Germany and which is where Rudolf Schenker heard it on German radio, and he had Michael at his home studio auditioning singers. And he said to Michael, listen to this. I think we should find out who the singer is, says Rudolf. Michael goes, I know who it is. He's already refused me 4 years ago. No point in calling him. He's not interested. We were on the same label together, blah, blah, blah. And Rudolph said, maybe. So they put management, who were also Scorpions management, Rock Sound management. And so they tracked me down. And Michael was also managed by David Krebs at the time, who managed Ted Nugent and Aerosmith, right? So David contacted me. Olaf from the Rock Sound management contacted me. Michael would love you to come to Hanover and audition. And I said, is it Michael that would like me, or is it you that would like me? And I said, I'm actually in the UK right now doing promo for Far Corporation. And they said, yeah, we know where you are. We have your itinerary. So they had gone to the label and got my itinerary. And so they were way ahead of me. And they said, we do know that you have a block right here. And you will have like a Monday through, or a Friday through Monday off, because you haven't had many weekends off. But we know you have this weekend off, and this would be perfect for you to come to Hanover and meet with Michael and Rudolph and maybe, get this out of the way and blah, blah, blah. And I went, I'm just not interested.
So they're basically stalking you.
Really. And yeah, that's kind of, and I really honestly wasn't interested, because I didn't want to replace Gary. I had already replaced Bernie Shaw in Grand Prix, and I went, what am I, like the replacement guy,
Right.
And not being egotistical or anything about it. My heart and soul just wasn't there. But as we know, I ended up.
Well, I think it's a compliment. I
up.
think it's a compliment, Robin, that they were looking
Well,
to
no,
pursue you.
no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So, I said, let's do it. Let's do this. Um, let me be prepared. What do you need from me? And they said, well, we're going to cover this sort of period of Michael Schenker group with Gary, obviously. So if you sort of get familiar with those songs, most of them I was familiar with anyway because we're on the label, so you would hear it. And so Rudolph, excuse me, and Michael picked me up from the airport on the Friday night. We went straight to Rudolph's studio. We worked till, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. We did the same thing on the Saturday. And then when I left the studio on Saturday night, Sunday morning, Rudolph handed me a cassette, and he said, maybe if you have time, by the time you come back tomorrow, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe you could have a listen to this and see if you can come up with something. And that really pissed me off because I came in here and I've worked literally all the way through the night. It was like all-nighters, and you're talking about a voice and everything. It's like, I can only talk and sing so much before I'm going, I don't want to sing anymore.
Yeah, right. You burn yourself out.
And anyway, it's not a poor me scenario, but anyway, I got up in the morning, I had breakfast, and then the Irish came out, and I went, fuck you.
Good for you.
And then I went back up to my room, I stuck my headphones on, and I started writing just whatever, and went back into the studio. Rudolph picked me up again. We got back into the studio. We worked all of the Sunday afternoon, and then we were done. And then Rudolph goes, I think maybe I gave you a cassette. And I said, oh, yeah, right. I said, just run the tape. He goes, no, first we will listen. I went, nah, no point in listening. Just run the 24 track and it is what it is. And I sang it down, and that track, almost without changes, made it to Perfect Timing, which was No Time for Losers.
Oh, it's phenomenal too. Oh my God. Great. I thought it was going to be Get Out.
I know. Yeah, right. And it was either going to be one or the other. Get Out wasn't done yet, but No Time for Losers. And so there was a little sort of a dig right in there, right? And so there was the game. The game always gets played. And I went home. I went back to London, and I think the Friday of that same week, or maybe the next week, something like that, Michael is on the phone, and he said, so Klaus and Rudolph and myself and the management, we all made a decision that we would like you to be the next singer for me. And I went, oh, okay. And it was kind of like that because I wasn't expecting anything. And that's the truth of the matter. And I went, okay, I did it. I did what you asked. It's done now. Are you happy? And I was the last of 17 singers, some great singers.
Wow.
Last of 17. And Michael said that there will be one prerequisite to the offer. I need a business partner per se. He said, I'm just fed up people calling me. I just want to play guitar. I'm not interested in itineraries. I'm not interested in we have to do this. I'm not interested in organizing photo shoots. I'm not interested in meet me here, meet me there. I just want to play guitar. That's what I do. I need somebody to be there at the end of the phone, talk to the management, and just say no or say yes. And I would rather you be that person. I like meeting you. I've heard enough about you. And I know you love the MSG logo, which we had talked about And now, of course, hindsight, I realize why we were talking about it so much. I always really liked how it sat on a shirt. Jack is there.
Phenomenal.
It's just a great logo. And
Where is it?
he
There it
said, it's unbelievable.
is.
So he said, Phil Mogg, I know, look at that. He said, Phil Mogg, M, Michael Schenker, M, and McAuley, M. And I'm going, where are you going with this, Michael? And he said, well, I was thinking you could keep the logo. I mean, it's my logo, but you could keep the logo because you like the MSG, but the M will become McAuley. And I mean, I didn't hear the next 10 sentences he said because I was just laughing so hard. And I went, oh, Michael, that's not what this is about. I have no interest in owning your MSG logo. I love the logo. I don't care. That's not important to me. You want a singer? We'll discuss having a singer. Name, you keep the name. That's the name. If it works, don't fix it. You keep it. It's established. Everybody knows who Michael Schenker Group is. Why would you ruin that? It'll just mess things up. It's exactly what I said to him, and it's all of those years ago. But it's like I just spoke to him this morning, and he said, "No, that's part of what I really would like. It's going to work great." And I said, "The name's too long." I said, "MSG." I said, "Michael Schenker Group is great because everybody knows it now." I said, "But I would never call a band Michael Schenker Group because I think group's a little hokey, right?" I said, "But the MSG, done and dusted. It's great, perfect, And if people want to know what that means, they'll find out. It's not Madison Square Garden, It's got nothing to do with monosodium glutamate. It's got nothing to do with any of that. Nothing. People will find out what it is." And I said, therein lies the never-ending questions. I love the logo. Is it about salt? Is it about medicine? It's like, just throw it at him. Leave it with him. And so that was his thing. He really wanted it. And we ended the conversation. And then we came back around to it. And we discussed the McAuley Schenker thing, changed the logo a little bit just to suit the name, revamp it. And I hate to say I told you so, but it was a nightmare. It was an absolute
especially with
nightmare.
the fans because they're so used to one thing, and now you're changing something that's like you said. If it's not broken, why are you trying to fix it?
Paul, I will tell you that just here in LA, just for Tower Records at the time, when the record was, we did an unplugged show at Tower Records, and I remember when we went in there, from the line of people that was outside wanting to hear the unplugged show, they had these nameplates with McAuley Schenker with arrows going through the entire store, which was a really cool Tower Records on Sunset Strip, down into the actual bin where they could find it.
Oh, wow.
And we were perusing in the store beforehand, and still we found McAuley Schenker stuff in a UFO bin. We found it in a Scorpions bin. We were going, well, this really works, doesn't it? And so it was for almost every show we did thereafter. It was just a fucking nightmare. And I went, told you this would happen. Leave well enough alone. It's just fine.
Well, it's a surprise. So here's the cover. Right.
Look, a great hair.
I want to get to the hair. We have to talk about the hair.
That was the most epic mullet of its time.
First of all, for Michael too. I mean, we first when we saw that, like, that's gonna get into the strings. How is he gonna fucking play with that fucking hair?
And I take full responsibility. I do. I take full responsibility because.
Do you talk him into extensions?
Fuck. I didn't talk him into it. I talked about it because he was
Robin,
talking
how much
about
of that hair is yours?
So the ridiculous stuff, like the blue and the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And I'll explain that. So all the rest is all mine. It's including the crow's nest on the top.
Okay.
Right? It's still mine today. All of it's still mine, right? And long story endless. We won't get into the hair.
Whose idea though?
Well, so one day Michael said, "Okay, we have photo shoots coming up. What do you think we're supposed to look like?" I said, "We look like ourselves." No, we need to have something made. And I went, "No, it's just going to look like we're, the suit don't make the man. Be yourself. Let's go out, be comfortable. I had a habit. I don't think even today I have a T-shirt with long sleeves on it. I cut the shit out of everything that I have. It's just always been my thing. And management loved it. They went, just cut those T-shirts up like you do. Just wear that. And I went, that's what I want to do, right? No, let's have a jacket made because this guy who made all of the Motley Crue stuff, and he made all of the Bon Jovi stuff, and he made all of the Judas Priest stuff, and now he's making the Scorpion stuff. He's so great. I won't mention his name. And we should use him. And if you were to look at his clothes, every single piece of every jacket, every pants was a variation on a theme. Exactly the same pair of pants, different color piping, exactly the same for every single band. Every single band. And I'm going, oh, we look really different than everybody else, don't we? Not.
You're
right?
uniformed.
Right?
Yeah.
And I went, what is this, like an army? Right?
And that must have been Prix during the turbo time.
Yeah, it was like 86, 87.
Yeah.
I could drag out a dozen photos and go, oh, what does that remind you of? What does that remind you? Anyway, he was complaining about certain people in the band and their hair. And McAuley opens his big mouth and he goes, oh, you guys heard about these hair extensions? And so suddenly everybody in the room was like all ears. And Michael's hair was always very thin, and so was one of the other members. And he said, well, what's a hair extension? I said, well, it's like synthetic hair. They glue it in. You can have it long, short, every color you want. And Schenker is
the light bulb went off.
It's like either full to the left or full to the right. And he goes, oh, tell me more. And I go, yeah, and I think the company was called Antenna. And I said, you have to put shit into it because, you can't, it's synthetic, it gets matted and knotted. And off he goes. Off he goes with hair this long. And off he comes back with hair this long. And I'm going, whoa. And he goes, but you have to have some. And I went, I don't need any. No, to stay current with us, you have to have something. So I had this stupid blue and pink put into my hair. And I think the day after the photo shoot, we went to Japan and I fell asleep and I get up out of my seat to go for a pee, and I guess I must have jerked my head, and I look around and all of the hair extensions is hanging on the headrest on the back of my seat. Oh shit! You couldn't make this shit up. You couldn't make this shit up. Anyway,
let me ask you a question.
Let me just finish this, Tommy. Tommy, let me finish this.
Hold on, Tommy. That first album.
One more
sentence.
Yeah. One more sentence. So we did 2 sold-out shows at Wembley Arena with Whitesnake over Christmas, right? And who got the front cover, back to Kerrang? Who got the front cover of Kerrang magazine? Not Whitesnake. MSG gets it. But what did MSG get it with? MSG hit the stage like a hairdresser's nightmare.
That was the caption?
That's exactly what the caption was. What more could you ask for?
Unreal.
Right? What more could you ask? Anyway, Tommy, off we go. Away from the air.
The first MSG album, which my personal favorite of the 3, to me was very commercial sounding for what Michael Schenker had done in the past. Was there a purpose to commercialize him somewhat and fit him with that sound in the U.S. that was exploding, the Bon Jovi hair band slick production?
I believe, blame me again, blame the singer. I believe that's why I was hired. Because I had
the Jolin Turner.
I had the commercial. Yeah. I had the commercial radio behind me with Far Corporation. Grand Prix already a little proggish, but like Keep On Believing was big at Radio 1 in the UK and all that sort of stuff. So I had sort of a radio friendly voice kind of a thing. And when we started writing, it was kind of dictated to us from the record label, EMI at the time, and the management company. We need radio-friendly songs.
Mhm.
And, Michael and I sat and I'm going, what is this, like paint by numbers now all of a sudden, And I suppose was 50% of the writing. Michael wrote the music. I just wrote what I heard to the music. Could you write something else? I suppose. But that's what we wrote at the time. And every time we wrote X amount of songs, it went to Rudolph's desk and the management's desk and Klaus's desk. And they would listen to it with an ear of, would this be a single for the Scorpions? Would this be something the Scorpions will put out as a single? And if it's not, then we need to keep writing, right? And that was kind of the drill. Give me something that's commercial, and then we sort of started getting into it. Andy Johns came in, God rest his soul, to produce the Perfect Timing record. Andy loved what he heard. He listened down. He tweaked a few things because he just came off the back of Cinderella. And he goes, a little change here, make this a little bit more commercial. We got radio stuff. We were like honed to make this radio friendly specifically for the US, because Michael did not have a US market.
Right.
And so if it goes wrong, we'll blame the singer, because that's the easiest thing we can do is blame the singer.
The new guy.
Blame the FNG, right? And so we did.
You got a top 100 hit out of it.
Yeah, and I always say, and still do, a day late and a penny short, because by the time we came in, everything was starting to,
right.
Everything had really ran the race from your Warrants to your White Snakes. We even had the same video production company as White Snake, Cream Cheese Productions, that did all of the White Snake stuff with Kolodner, Tawny Katane, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Same producers. So they were following the pattern of, we use these guys, of course it's going to be a hit. We use these people over here. And dare I say it, Paul, White Snake, Bon Jovi, let me see who else they had in there. They all had co-writers, from Diane Warren to Desmond Child.
Desmond, right.
Right, helping them out with guaranteed.
Aerosmith. Guaranteed
singles. Guaranteed.
Jack Ponte wrote a lot of this stuff.
Yes, and we didn't have any of that. It was McAuley Schenker left up to their own devices, but the demands were great. Write me, give me a hit.
But that's a fabulous album, the first album, in my opinion. I thought the songs were tremendous.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and so
Did you
now
feel pressured though to like "Give Me Your Love" was the single?
Yeah.
How far into it was that song created?
Oh, fairly early, pretty early on. I wrote that with the bass player, with Rocky Newton. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, time was great in German radio, because it just had sort of a Scorpions feel.
Oh yeah, awesome.
So I wrote that with Michael, but the rest of the stuff, Michael didn't. This Is My Heart, he's on This Is My Heart, which was a single, but the rest of them he's not really on. He didn't write any time. I wrote that with Steve Mann. Third record, When I'm Gone, which was a huge...
wait! I can't wait to get to Save Yourself.
Yeah, Save Yourself, great track. We used to open the shows with Save Yourself. In fact, when we had recorded Save Yourself, I remember saying to Michael, this would be a great opening track on the record. Write something at the beginning. We need something that's you. Because when we finished, we were very disappointed with Perfect Timing, with the production. We thought it was really lightweight. What happened to Michael's guitars? Because when we were there in the room, There was lots of guitar, but we didn't hear that on the final production. Everything was a little top endy, no, none of the drive. Reason we brought Andy Johns in was we loved the snare drum on the Slaughter on the records, right? Or Cinderella records rather. We just loved the drum sound, and we wanted that drum sound. We wanted something big and right, and so we discovered how Andy did that when we recorded at here in LA. Andy brought in this big sandbox one day, and he goes, "This is how I get the drum sound," right? So he's got this massive box of sand, overhead mics, gets a used snare drum skin, and then he pulls out a Colt 45. And he goes, "This is how we do it, man." And he starts firing into the sandbox, and he's recording the gunshot, and he's triggering it with the snare drum hit.
Wow, that's pretty.
And I'm going, "Get the fuck out of here." And that's how he did all of that. And we were going, "Oh my God." So as all of this is going down, we're going, "This is going to be thunderous." And it wasn't. It wasn't. We wanted.
Do you have say on the final mix? You guys have say, or they just did it?
Oh yeah, we said plenty. We said plenty. But back to management, back to label. It's more commercial this way, and we're going. It's more lightweight this way.
I'm glad you said it, because a lot of us felt the same way about it.
Yeah. So we and we fought hard before we got to Save Yourself. We went, this will not happen on this record. Won't happen on this record. Can't let it happen on this record. And then we brought in Frank Filippetti. Still not as heavy as we wanted it to be, but a different record.
You know, Robin, just not to stop you. So when I bought this album, okay, and I'm a giant Schenker guy from UFO I love Gary Barton, and I hear this, all right, they got the new guy. Holy shit, great vocals, right? Give me love. Okay, light. So time. Wow, this is good. Get Out really felt more like a Michael Schenker song in that sense of second album, you know what I mean, or Assault Attack. They're like, now I understand, you know what I'm saying? And then I accepted you with open arms in that sense, because I knew the seeds of what can be from Save Yourself were there.
Yeah, never happened on Perfect Timing, and we had plenty of songs. And then they just started to whittle away and go, "No, this is the record." And we went, "Okay, but give it some bump, right? Give it some welly," and didn't happen. And we were, man, we were really disappointed. We thought it's dead. It's not going anywhere. We'll be lucky if we get a second record. And when we knew we were getting a second record, we fought hard to. How do we not let that happen again, and push Michael's guitar, really push this thing up to the front and get those drums cracking, get a heavy bass going, just get this going. Even if the vocals are melodic on the top, there's just ways of doing to make this powerful.
The
and
sound was so powerful on Save Yourself.
Yeah, ridiculous. a different record, and still could have had more bump, but a different
phenomenal cover.
Thank you.
Even the back, you guys look great on the back.
I'll take the credit for the cover.
Robin, let me ask you a question. Just going back to the first record real quickly. Why was Mitch Perry brought into this? I always thought it was strange that another named guitar player, lead guitar player, was brought into a band with Schenker, which is probably the first and only time it's ever happened. What was his play? Or was that a management decision?
No, great question. Steve was full on to be in the band, Steve Mann. Right before we were sort of scheduled to finish the record and tour, Steve's dad got very ill back in the UK. And Steve said, I can't be away from my father. I have to be home. And I'm going to have to make a decision here and leave the band. And we were staying here in LA at an apartment complex, and Wasted were in town with Pete Way. And of course, we would hang out poolside every day with Pete, and Michael was there and all that sort of stuff. And then Mitch Perry shows up, and Mitch was all into the hammer-ons. He got all of this stuff down, and
The new
Michael was,
gunslingers.
yeah, Michael was absolutely blown out of the water, seeing Mitch do all of this stuff. And he said, we absolutely have to use Mitch. And Mitch came in, and then he played on the second part of the solo, first part of the solo on "Give Me Your Love" on the single, and then he toured. He did the Rush tour with us, and that's how Mitch came in. Great guitar player. He lives in Vegas now. I've seen him. Seen him. I've actually performed with him doing some classic rock shows a bunch of times. So that's how that happened.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it always seemed odd that there was another lead guitar player brought into a band that had an iconic guitar player who never really shared the stage with another lead guitar player.
Yeah, Michael was okay with that. It was his
his idea, evidently.
Yeah, it was his idea. He was cool with all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing the video in New Jersey at the roller skating rink.
Whoa, you remember that? Whoa.
I unfortunately I had to work that day, and I was going down because you needed.
What was that? Love is not a game, right?
Yeah.
Yo, yeah. Wow. Damn, that was great, because I remember it was a mixture of real team players and then the actress skater.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that the actress skater didn't fare out too well because those girls on the teams are like, and I'm going, oh my God. There's a scene on there when one of the actress people, did I just lose you?
No, you're here. You're still here. You're good. You're perfect. Go back.
There we go. Here we go. Yeah. So one of the actress girls is coming around the top of the skate arena, and there's a scene where one of the team girls comes up and just gets her like under the ribs with the point of her elbow, and you can see them all pointed straight at Michael's calves, and that was a real shot. That was not scripted. You couldn't. Wow. We were very lucky that people didn't get hurt on that, because they couldn't control where they were going.
Sure.
They headed straight into the stacks and took those stacks out. And when we realized nobody was hurt, we went, "Fuck, this is a great shot." And it was a great shot. You couldn't make that up. It was great. Yeah. The only thing would have been like a T-bird, like sailing out across the top of the stacks, but that didn't happen. Anyway.
So now we'll get Save Yourself. I mean, the songs are so strong. Where did that, especially Anytime, but where did Anytime come from, Robin?
Oh, so we had written probably most of the record, Michael and myself, and Rocky and I had written a bunch of tunes on there. Steve had this idea of what became Anytime. Management said, we need a power ballad. Michael and I had not written a power ballad per se. We had mid-tempo songs on there. And then Steve gave me this, and I started working on it. And I was, again, back in the UK. Steve was back in the UK. And Steve had a home studio. And I said, have an idea for this. And he goes, come over to the house and let's demo it. So I get over, intro is playing, and I start singing. He goes, no, you're coming in the wrong place. And I went, oh, where's the right place? And he goes, oh, I see that as a complete intro, and you come in here. And I went, oh no, dude, this sets up the dramatic intro. And he goes, oh, let me listen to it. I'm going to have to take time to listen to this because it sounds weird. And then he goes, fuck, that's great. What a great idea.
And you come in high too on the first.
Yeah, right in on the top. And I went, we got to We got to say it right out the gate. And he goes, oh my God, how did you hear that? I would never have come in there. That was not how I wrote it. And I went, well, stupid singers, And so we took it to the management. They went, this is killer. This will be a great single. I remember the record label EMI back in Germany. This sounds a little conceited. It's not meant to be. I think as early as like November of that year, I got a call from the CEO and he said, this thing is just cranking at Capitol Records. They absolutely love it. I love it. And he goes, here's your early Christmas present. I've decided to pick up the option for the next record, and I'm telling you first. Purely on the strength of this of Anytime. And I went, oh my God, seriously? Which meant we got more money for the third record.
Right.
Right. Which was great. And that's really how that happened.
Yeah, you peaked at number 92 on the Billboard's Top 100, which is unbelievable.
John Kolodner, God bless him. John Kolodner came to me, and I will never forget it. And he walked up to me and he said, Anytime, it's a number one song, and I'm just going to tell you now, Capitol fucked it up. Exactly what he said to me. And on top of that, coming out of Capitol, we were sitting pretty with Anytime, and Bonnie Raitt picks up 4 nods. And we were out on tour, and they had Great White, they had Poison, they had somebody else, but anything that was on Capitol, they pulled the plug on and pushed all efforts into, which she deserved, of course.
Right, because that was the album for her.
Into Bonnie Raitt, and so
that was her time.
All eyes on Bonnie, everything else gets kicked to the back burner. Right. And that's what happened with Anytime. Would it have gone higher? I think it probably would.
It's consistently phenomenal to this day.
Yeah, people love it.
As soon as you put it on, it's over. You're over. You're captured. You're listening. Yeah. It's still phenomenal, Robin.
Yeah, and so 100 years later, when I was doing the Vegas residency, people expected to hear it in the show. And I said, nah, that's not what the show is about. We don't do kind of our own material in the show. And so Steve had called me and we were talking about something. And he said, by the way, he said, I get so many people asking me, how come I can't find Anytime on iTunes? And I said, well, if you look at the period, there was no iTunes.
Right.
When that record was released. So the label never pushed anything that we did to iTunes, none of it. And so Steve said, why don't we re-record it? And we will take back the rights from the label. We will re-record a fresh version. And he said, how do you feel about that? And I went, let's do it. So Steve put all the music back together again, sent it to me. I recorded it in Vegas, up on iTunes, and that's how that got up there. And for the McAuley Schenker Fest tour, it was included in the set list.
Can you talk about the MTV gig in Daytona?
Yes.
What do
you want to know?
whatever you can tell, because first of all, shocking that McAuley Schenker was on MTV Live doing a live concert in Daytona Beach. That alone, that it happened, was a miracle to any fans. Period.
Yeah, that was just pure right place at the right time, because we were on tour with Great White. And that was never supposed to be us. That was always supposed to be Great White.
Oh, wow!
That was always supposed to be Great White. They were headlining it. It was their thing. And Jack got ill, God rest his soul. Jack got ill. We got the call, hey guys, I think you're going to have to fill the slot. Can you do it? And so there we were. So we were all down there for spring break.
Were you sweating your balls off outside?
Sweating our balls off, man. I mean, Irish and English guys are not used to AC, not used to that kind of weather. Now I would die if I was in the cold weather. I just, I've been in California for too long. But that's how that happened. Yeah.
Anything, Tommy?
I wanted to move to a couple of things because I myself am a little strapped for time, and there are a couple of things.
You're going to lose me in maybe about 20 minutes.
Okay. I got 20 minutes. Just to move off of the MSG stuff a little bit, there were a couple of oddball things that you've done over the year that I was a real big fan of. One of was an EP of a band called Bleep. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, oh my God, great band. So there was a period that a guitar player, Dave Bates, came to me and he goes, "Hey man, love your stuff. Want to do something really heavy. Would love to see how your sort of commercial vocal sound would work against this kind of, drop D tuning kind of a thing. Don't really have any plan. I've got a bunch of ideas. Fancy writing something." He lived literally across the street from me. And I said, "Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens." So we put a bunch of tunes, rehearsed like crazy, did a couple of sort of local live shows just to see how this thing would sound, recorded the demos, pressed a bunch of copies. And wouldn't you know it, everybody that heard it said, "I don't hear any time on this."
Really?
And that was the shit.
That became the curse.
They wouldn't allow me to wear a different suit of clothes. And so it went nowhere, sat around for a bunch. And then Dave met Monique, and Edge of Paradise came to being, and they used a lot of the Bleed tunes, and they got signed. So all was not lost. I always said to Dave, give the songs to a younger singer, a different singer, and go with it that way. And that's kind of what happened. And so Edge of Paradise went on, and they have now several records deep.
The other band I wanted to talk to you about was Elements of Friction. Was that something that was strictly a studio project? Was there any intent for that to go anywhere?
I didn't know anything about Elements of Friction until Ricky Phillips, bass player, was with the Babies and Styx. And Styx, yeah. And Ricky called me. Ricky and I have been good buddies. And he said, "Hey, Fergie sang this whole record." Fergie Ferguson sang.
Oh, really? He was the original singer in this?
Yeah. Sang the whole record.
Did not know that.
The whole record. And back to you, Paul. I'm back to GMT. Mausoleum doesn't like it.
Out it goes.
Isn't it funny how this goes, like round and round and round and round? And Mausoleum doesn't like it. I think you should do it. And the songs on there from John Waite, the songs on there written by, most of the Babies guys and all that sort of stuff. I think you'd be perfect for this. I went to Ricky's house, and so we recorded it, and voila, there was Elements of Friction. Simple.
Yeah, it was a really good record, but I always got the impression that it was really a Frontiers type of studio project.
Yeah, it came out of Mausoleum. I believe it came out eventually of Mausoleum. I was a big Babies fan, loved John Waite. And loved Tommy Aldridge. How would you not love Tommy Aldridge on drums? And I went, I have to sing on this. I don't know if I can, but I have to try and sing on this. And so that's how that happened.
Actually, it came out on MTM Records.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It was Magnus's label.
Oh my God, yes. I forgot about Magnus.
How could you forget about Magnus? Was the guy. He carried this scene on his back for a while.
Wow, he was the man.
Yep.
My God, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I still keep in contact with him.
Oh, tell him I said hello.
I will. Yeah.
Please. Yeah, so that's how that came. There was nothing more. It was just that one record.
And one more. The V Project.
Oh shit. David Vaccaro lives in Boston. So David used to live here in California, and he had a bunch of tunes. good guitar player. Just said, hey, you want to write this stuff? And that's really what it was. I wrote that stuff. And long after the fact, he goes, I'm going to put this out under the name of V Project. And he did all the artwork and he did everything himself. And it was never really meant to be anything serious, really. It was just, it was look like getting together with your buddy in your front room and just passing the time writing a bunch of songs and recording them and really not meaning anything to happen to them. But he wanted to do something, and I went, yeah, whatever you want to do.
He actually put out 2 records.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he would always tell me what he was doing, and I went, sure. There's my blessing. Take it to do what you want. Yeah, that's
Now,
really
your first solo album, which was a huge favorite of mine, was kind of like your stepping your foot in the AOR territory.
again. Was never written as a solo record. I wrote that record with Frankie Sullivan and another guy
Oh, okay.
Survivor, yeah.
from Survivor. And I just mentioned Ricky Phillips. As, my God, the whole business. Every time you ask me a question, something else comes up. So it appears Ricky Phillips was approached by John Kolodner. John Kolodner loved the single Anytime. He was very good friends with Ricky. He got hold of Ricky and he goes, Ricky, you need to get hold of McAuley and write some songs because all we need is a couple of Anytimes from you guys and this will be awesome, right? So Ricky never got to call me. Instead, Frankie Sullivan calls me. And Frankie said he was approached by John Kolodner.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That he should call me. And Frankie was the first to call me. And so I got together with Frankie and we wrote all of those songs. And we took it to Geffen, not to Kolodner himself. And we came up with a name called, I don't know why, but we called it, oh, I know why, because we had this vision of like a turntable. And when you put the needle down, you get all of that, right, dirty needles thing. And we called it inner groove distortion. That's what we called it, just for the fuck of it, really.
Right.
Right? Took it around to the labels, and everybody said, I don't hear Anytime. I'm not making this up. We don't hear Anytime, but there's some really good songs on here.
They're awesome.
And I don't hear the inner groove distortion. Where is it? And I'm going, this is the nicest way of saying, don't want it, not interested. And so years later, after it gathered enough dust, a label out of Japan, only Japan, Big FM Records, they came on the scene and said, we'd love to put this out. And I talked to Frank and he goes, yes, put your own name on it.
Oh, really? See, I never knew that.
And that's all it was. Just put your own name on it, put it out as a solo record, all good. At least it won't be sitting on the shelf. Throughout that period of writing with Frankie, which would have been 94, I think, something like that. 94. When we wrote that stuff, Frankie said, you need to come join Survivor. And I said, what you need to do is stop suing Jimmy Jameson because he's going out singing Survivor songs, and promoters, like they are sometimes, are promoting it as Jimmy Jameson Survivor, not formerly of, not ex of.
Right.
They wanted to promote
or
Survivor.
Singer of.
And so he got sued, right, left, center. And I went, go make amends with Jimmy, best singer on the planet, man with the golden voice, sang all of your hits, apart from Tiger and blah, blah, blah. And loved Dave, worked with Dave last year, in fact. And so he wouldn't listen. And so he didn't get Jimmy back in. And 4 years, a bit like Schenker, really. 4 years passed. I have twin boys. My wife and I have been married 33 years.
God bless.
Thank you. Still the same woman. How does she? I don't know what she was
Now they
thinking.
put up with us, right?
I don't know what she was thinking, but thank God she wasn't thinking. So we had our boys in 1999, and when they were 2, I started getting all of these emails from Frankie and his people out of Chicago. And my wife, Gina, said, "Hey, did you ever answer Frankie's email?" And I went, "Nah, I know what he wants. I'm not interested." And she goes, "Well, wouldn't it just be like nice that you just said, 'Hey, Frankie, nice to hear from you. No thanks,' as opposed to just blank, nothing?" And she goes, "Come on, that's not you. Just be nice." And I went, "I am nice." She goes, "Well, then tell him that you're not interested." So I called Frank. He goes, "Are you ready now? Stop all of this bullshit." And so here we are. I end up in Chicago. Um, I had 2 CDs full of Survivor songs, rehearsed for 2 days. And 4 days later, I'm on stage with Survivor in front of about 25,000 people at a festival outside of Chicago with Eddie Money. I had no idea what I was doing. No idea what I was doing. And so we stayed. We did that for 6 years.
Well, can I tell you, I had first row for the St. George Theater in Staten Island. You were supposed to play, and it got canceled.
I remember that.
Yeah. I
Really?
was so fucking
Yeah, I was gonna go to that
excited
too.
that you were in Survivor, and and having a chance, maybe even meeting you backstage, at the stage door, whatever, and fucking.
And was
that's
I
all got
still there? Was I there? And it was
You were still with them
They must
at
have
that
canceled it.
time.
They
I've
canceled
never.
that show. Yeah,
Yeah.
Why did they cancel? I wonder.
I don't know.
Either poor sales, I don't. I have
Yeah,
no
probably
idea.
worse.
Not even poor sales.
Probably that.
Jameson wasn't the only one that he was hurt. He harassed Bickler quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
too.
I know. Yeah,
Because
and at the end of my tenure at 6 years, he always said it was like Irvin Azoff that was managing the Eagles, and his wife worked for them, and they came and said, "You know what you need to do." Back to what we were talking about with, like, your replacement singers. Bring in get back Jimmy Jameson, but bring in Dave Bickler as well, so you have both, and that's what they did. And sadly, Jimmy was gone after a year. After a year. And that was the end of that story. And in the last years and a half, I've done a bunch of like corporate big shows down in Mexico, and Dave's been part of that. And we laughed about it and going, "Dude, isn't it funny? After all of these years, we actually get to work together." It's like, life's funny.
Bickler is a terrific guy. He's a real. I interviewed him for another podcast I had been involved with a few years ago.
Lovely man. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, he was nervous as a cat before we did the show, because we couldn't mention anything about it in the logo. He had been told he was not allowed to use Survivor when we tried to advertise him being on the show, and he had called us up and he was like, "Make sure
not
you
even
don't put
formally
anything."
of. You couldn't do formally of.
No.
Wow.
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
That is a fact. Couldn't use formally of. Couldn't use.
Yeah. No, I know. I went through this.
Couldn't use X. Couldn't use of.
We couldn't put anything that even remotely mentioned in Survivor in the advertisement for when we were going to have them on.
Yeah, and that's really not
even used to be.
Yeah,
nothing.
Yeah,
and I tell you, he was really nervous. He even checked like after it was going to go up. You didn't put it up, did you?
Yeah, and that's. I think that's. I don't even think that's legal, because if you're formally of, you're formally of.
Yeah,
and
I don't think. Yeah,
and it's public. It's public domain. It's public domain. It's like bullshit.
Right.
It's both scare tactics, and down and out selfishness. That's all it is.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It really sucks, but
yeah,
that's the nature of the guy, I guess. I don't know.
Dave's a lovely man.
I have to say this.
Yeah.
This album here, I listen to frequently. And I always say, if I ever had a chance to speak to Robin McAuley, I would say, What Happens to Me is one of the most emotional
Oh,
songs. I'm telling you, I might even cry
You
now.
know, Paulie's a
oh.
very emotional guy, Rob.
You know,
He cries very easy.
I wear my heart on my sleeve, as they say, Robin. But as they say, the fucked up thing about it is that this fantastic album got robbed because this came around at the same fucking time. This never got a proper tour, nothing. And here's to boot. You played a place called the Cricket Club in New Jersey, and it was an unplugged thing, and it was a fucking. I mean, maybe it felt like 100 people could fit in there.
I've been to the cricket club.
So now they're playing there. So now we go out, and I'm waiting, and I walk out, and I see a fucking car. It's like a car service, and it's you and Michael in the back seat, and I actually got you guys to sign my.
Oh my God,
So,
dude.
So, Robin, you don't
physically,
remember
it's the
him from
only
40 years ago?
1991.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
He has an impression. He leaves an impression
that
of
burn,
people.
and I said, Robin, what happens to me? I'm so glad that I created this show to say to you. I mean,
Oh,
so beautiful,
well,
beautiful. I
thank
mean,
you,
the
thank you,
album
thank you.
top to the.
It is. If it makes matters any better, it's one of my personal favorites. In actual fact, there's only recently, maybe it's because of the, put it out in the universe. There are tons of really, really good. So we used to get asked to come into radio stations, perform live at the radio stations. And there's a ton that you can find on YouTube of what happens to me live at
I'm
radio
so
stations.
glad you added that track to this album. I mean,
Yeah, it's
you guys were smart enough to realize that MTV Unplugged was really hot. Everything, and this was fantastic for you guys. Fantastic, right? Tour wise, right? You really did
yeah,
well
yeah,
with this.
yeah, we did. And Michael used to really, I think it was one of my favorite tours because on and off, I think we toured almost for 9 months with a couple of breaks in between Europe and here in the States. The Unplugged CD came out,
The video.
the video, right? And I think what we liked about it particularly was while other bands were doing Unplugged, they would bring in percussion, they'd bring in strings, they'd bring
Yeah.
and when
Two guitar players and
it was
this
just
fucking guy singing,
and a
man.
tambourine, and that's
Yep.
all it was.
Yep.
And in actual fact, Paul, when we recorded the CD and the DVD at the time when we recorded that, Yamaha had just introduced DAT tapes.
Oh, yeah.
The digital audio tape. They
Yeah.
had just introduced it, and they allowed us, in fact, they gave us their DAT machine to test it out on the live recording, see if we liked it.
Wow.
And that was like, I think, one of the first few times that DAT actually was even known about. And so we went up there, just two guitars and tambourine, and just went, this could be good or it could not be good.
Can I ask you, was the MSG, was there going to be a tour? Was there thoughts of a live tour?
Yes, oh yeah. Yeah.
And you had Jeff and you had James Kotak
Oh my
on the
God,
drums.
yes.
So that was going to be the band and you were going to go out and play.
Yes, all of it.
Oh, what a sin. What a sin. I would love to have heard that
Was that Spencer from Shark Island was
yes,
the additional guitar player?
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, Spencer succumbed.
Yes, and he lives little story, little digression once more. So when we toured Europe with the Unplugged, we had Susie from the management company. She came out and sort of took care of us, blah blah blah. And all of the time that we were out there, Spencer and her had a thing going on, but we never knew about it. And after the tour, they got married.
Wow.
Oh, they were discreet.
They got married and had a baby, and sadly, she passed away. She got cancer and passed away.
Oh my God!
And we were absolutely devastated.
Huh?
We were devastated. In fact, when they had their baby, they came to visit Gina and myself when we were still living in Hollyweird. And we had our two boys who were like, tiny tots. And all three kids were all playing together in our apartment at the time. And soon thereafter, Susie passed away. And yeah, Spencer is a wonderful human being. Yeah, one of the greatest things of my travels is getting to know people like him.
He's a good player too.
And the final thing, we got to talk about Black Swan, because you did this project with Reb Beach and Jeff and Matt Starr, and it's for the last album really, really kicks
The
ass.
last album is the best of the three, I think.
It's phenomenal. It
Well,
really
you know,
is.
I think it is too. I do like the first two records, but they were like testing ground. We didn't really think we'd get past Shake the World. You know, I was still in Vegas. Jeff was my best man, by the way, so that's how long I've known Jeff Pilson.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay, so Jeff, we're like family. He doesn't live too far from me. Jeff calls me. He goes, "Hey, Serafino called me." And Serafina had approached me about a year beforehand to do a solo project. And I went, absolutely, absolutely not interested. Nobody would buy it. I have no idea what I was doing.
You did like 3 solo
I did
albums.
three solos, 3 Black Swan, almost 6 records in 6 years. Who does that?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right? So I said to Serafina, no, I don't really, thank you, but I don't want to do a solo record. So Jeff comes on the phone and he goes, Serafina wants me to put a super group together. Isn't that hilarious? And I'm going, so why are you calling me? And he goes, so I talked to Reb. Reb was involved with Tooth and Nail for Doc and blah, blah, blah. And I don't want anybody else to sing it. He said, I think it's about time that you did something that really showcases you. Not under somebody else's name, not somebody else's moniker. It should be you doing you. And he says, I promise you'll never sound as good as you do on this record. And I said, what record? He said, the record I'm going to talk to you about. And I went, you're playing bass, right? And he said, no, I won't be playing bass. I'll be kind of a producer / supervisor. I might get involved with some of the songwriting. And I went, you know, I love you, dude. But unless you're playing bass, what's the point? Because as I said, I know you. And I said, for the purpose of the writing, you will be playing bass. Why? Because that's what you will want to do to format the songs. And he goes, yeah, but then I'll take it off. I've got a couple of great bass players. And I went, I don't care. Because I can talk to Jeff like that. I said, I don't care. I don't care. I said, you call me back and you tell me that you will be the bass player. I'm in like Flynn. And he goes, let me talk to Reb. So he calls Reb. Reb's coming into LA. Reb lives in Pittsburgh. Reb comes into the studio. They sent me, I think, about 4 songs in the beginning. Scared the crap out of me. And that's the God's honest truth. I went, oh, boys, this might not be my wheelhouse, right? So anyway, I started writing whatever. Reb comes in. Jeff's off the road. Reb's off the road with Winger, and they said, are you in town? Because Reb's coming over to the studio. Bring what you have, and we'll discuss it from there. I get in. I had met Reb one time before when in my Survivor days, he actually sat in Winger, Night Ranger, did a couple of shows with them. We were doing Night Ranger shows, so I met Reb. So we come in, we started chatting. We beat Jeff up. And he goes, yeah, I'll play bass. And we were like all happy and blah, blah, blah. Then Reb said, okay, man, what do you have? And I went, oh, shit, conversation was good. Now we're really going to ruin it. So we're in the control room in Jeff's studio. And I said, so I have just one song that I'll play first. And I said, it's called Big Disaster. And Reb looks at me and he goes, so wait. So you're telling me that we've never worked together before? And this is a brand new project that we're going to introduce. And the first song you bring in is called Big Disaster. And he goes, that's going to really go down well. And I went, yeah, but listen to it first. Right. So I sang it down and he goes, that's fucking great. Yeah. Do you have anything else? So then we I don't know. I think I had Make It There was the ballad, and he was going, fuck, this is just getting better. Yeah, let's do a whole record. And Black Swan, the name, was actually Kip Winger's idea. Because Reb was talking to Kip, and he said, dude, we got a whole bunch of names for this thing. Kip was listening to the material. Kip goes, I love this. This is really cool. And so he said, given the climate, it was like pandemic time almost, right? All of this stuff's going down, the world's coming to an end. And, a black swan is an event. Mm-hmm. It's a bad worldly event that's going to take place. And he said, perfect, be a great name. Very rock and roll too at the same time. Reb came back, told us about Black Swan. We didn't even question it. Compared to everything we had, this was perfect. We called it Black Swan, and off we went. And the record company loved it. I remember Serafino listening to the ballad, and he sent an email to all three of us, and he said, oh my God, if this was the 80s, I'd buy each of you a Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I remember I replied, I still have my email. I replied to him and I said, oh, well, since it's not the 80s, I suppose the Ford Fiesta will have to do.
That's Toyota.
Tesla.
Yeah, right. Not even. And off we went. And suddenly, it's done, and we're up to Generation Mind, and now we have Paralyzed. And I think we sort of kicked out the cobwebs, as it were, from the first two records. And I think it shows an absolute definite progression in the writing. Yeah. And it sounds like a band. It sounds like a band. That's what I like.
No live shows, though? No intention, any intention of?
If we could nail down Reb Beach and nail down Jeff Pilson, we talk about it all the time. All the time. I've had promoters, because I solo showed Sweden Rock this year. Sweden Rock wants to know, why can't we get Black Swan? I've played solo shows in Madrid and Barcelona. Promoters are going, one Black Swan show would be awesome. And the guys come in and they're right. Reb goes, dude, we'd have to be rehearsing for about 3 weeks. We'd have to be doing this and this. We have to get another guitar player. And he said, logistically and financially, before we even start. And he said, even if we keep it, some level of sanity regarding the expenditures, it's still going to cost money in flights and blah, blah. Where's that going to come from?
So you guys would have to do festivals if you're going to do it. You get,
I have said that when you're listening to my podcast, I have said to everybody, the ideal situation for Black Swan would be the festivals. And I keep repeating myself, a lot of people in the same place at the same time, because the band is not known. And the best thing to do would be a festival stage where you have all of those people and go, oh, that's Black Swan.
Right.
And because people are not going to get into their cars and drive 100 miles to a show that for a band they don't know. Well, thank you. But you know what I mean.
All right. So, Robin, what would you like to promote? Do you have a website? You said you have a podcast. Anything you would like to promote now?
So, you can find me on official Robin McAuley Facebook. You can find me all over Facebook. You can find all the Black Swan stuff on YouTube. All the records are up on iTunes. All the records are up on Spotify, Instagram. If you want me, you can find me.
I found you.
Yes, you did. And thank you for that. Thank you for that. And if you haven't heard Paralyzed from Black Swan, listen to it. I think it's a great record.
Phenomenal.
Just thank you all for listening. I'm honored.
That was a pleasure.
I can't believe I'm still here. I love the shirt. Life's good. I still love what I do.
And what's coming up for the future, other than the Schenker dates?
So I do a lot of classic rock corporate shows, so they're not advertised. So I do a lot of that to keep the voice working. The mainstay of the stuff will be the Wacken Style Full Metal Japan in October. Almost all of Europe with Schenker MSG in November. There's talks of the US for
I hope
27.
so.
And so I'll be posting all of that as it comes in. I am very busy. I'm just finishing up touches to Live Firefest, which is an English festival that I did. They want to consider putting that out. I'm working on an extremely interesting project with a UK label called Escape Music.
I know of it.
Very,
my buddy Khalil Turk.
So if he wants to tell you off the record about the record that I've worked with him on for about a year now, and we're done, all the songs. I have one song to finish. It is, how do I put this in the most delicate fashion? It has a very Middle Eastern
Flavor
feel to it. All of that sort of rhythms. Simon Phillips plays drum on it.
Oh.
Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote one.
I'm going to call him tomorrow and get the.
Yeah,
we're talking to Simon next week. We got Simon on the show.
Well, you tell Simon I said hello. So Simon's
Well,
played on a bunch of the tracks. It's a different set of clothes for me. It's phenomenal. It has a Turkish orchestra on there. It's heavy as fuck. It's really cool. The rhythms are just, the melodies are, it's one of the most interesting things I've ever worked on. Khalil is the superstar. He has great ears.
Yeah,
so
I go back
if you
to the
talk to
80s
him,
with
Tommy,
Khalil. That's
you
how
tell
old
him
I
I
know.
mentioned it. You tell him I mentioned it, but I didn't mention too much.
We used to write for the same
you don't want to
magazine
get
in
this.
the late 80s.
I don't want to get the guillotine. Yes.
Okay. I got to
All
run,
right.
guys.
All right. I
love
want
you
to
guys.
Robin.
I can't thank you enough. This has been, I talk too much, so I do apologize.
No. Listen, again, when I started this thing, you're a dream wish list guest, Robin. Seriously. I mean, for the years of listening to you and then going back and finding out other things that you've done and appreciating everything. And like I said, we didn't even talk about Schenker Fest. Hopefully you could come back on if you're promoting it. Please come back on.
I would love to.
All right. So, again, that was
care.
Robin McAuley. Thank you so much. That's my co-host, Tommy Coyne. I am Paul Christine. This is the show Hard Rock History Show, which you can find on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, iTunes. No TikTok. Not yet. Oh, maybe.
Awesome.
Maybe
God bless you. Maybe. Yes.
And as I always say, keep on rocking. Thank
God
you
bless
so
you
much.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care, Rob.
Bye-bye.